Welcome to the fourth floor, an extension of five on the floor, as part of the Five Reasons Sports Network. This is the pregame show for the preseason game against the Houston Rockets. Now, we are going against them, missing a couple guys like Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, a lot of our key guys, but we're not missing them in the pregame show. We got Mr. Mateo Mayorga, we got Mr. Gadiel Cartagena, and Mr. Alejandro running us on the show. So before we get started, I do want to shout out a couple of our sponsors. Make sure you go to prizepicks.com. Use the promo code 5 to double your deposit up to $100. That's literally $100 free money. Pick 3 or 4 players. Use the flex play if you want to have a little bit of risk, a little bit risk adverse. And if you're a little more wanting to take that risk, just go ahead and go for that straight play. Pick those 4 straight guys. Also, make sure you check out our other sponsor, Mark Brown PA. That's MARC BrownPA.com. He's going to take care of you if you're young, have an estate. You want to make sure that we live in a crazy world. Anybody in your family gets that stuff that's taken care of. He'll do all the forms for you. He's based out of the North Lauderdale area, so he'll go ahead and take care of you. Like I said, go ahead and check out markbrown.pa.com, based out of North Lauderdale, and he'll take care of you. Now, let's go ahead and break down this pregame show. We got one of the guys that we've wanted to see for a little bit of time, had over a little bit of a year to rehab. We saw some sparks of it last year, especially in the Orlando game with a 40-point outburst. Victor Oladipo, he's back. He's kind of the X factor coming into the season. He's one of those guys that can just raise the ceiling of this team if things just go right with him. So, Gad, I'll start with you on this. Like I said, Victor Oladipo, he's coming back. What do you expect to see from him tonight? And do you think that he can realistically raise the ceiling of this team and break us into becoming or make us into a more true, solid title contender?
I think his impact on the team is kind of TBD, right? Like we can't really tell exactly how things are going to shake out, but there is a scenario in which Victor Oladipo maybe isn't all-star Victor Oladipo, but he's super impactful two-way Victor Oladipo, and he makes a big difference on both ends for this team. And if that happens, the Heat probably have like a trio of the most versatile defenders in the NBA, in addition to someone who can create for himself and others. That's huge. So Depot could end up being huge for this team. I don't want to put those expectations on him because I know the man's been through a lot. And you don't want to expect all these things from a guy coming back from so much. But in terms of what I want to see from him tonight, like we kind of know Depot's a great defender, so that's not really in question for me. I think the offensive game is more so in question. How does the jumper look? And the most important one for me would be, can he go left? Because that was one of the things that the Celtics and some teams in the playoffs, they just make him go left. And he would just step back, pull it out, and reset the offense, and it would kind of get a little clunky. So if he can go left, if he can drive going to the left side of the rim, finish with the left, then he's pretty hard to stop because his first step is so quick. So that's one thing I'm looking for tonight.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. Like you said, just him mixing up the offensive bag a little bit more, showing that explosiveness, showing that finishing around the rim. That's something that we can use, especially that rim pressure. Now, something else that we did, we put Jamal Cain on a two-way and we signed Michael Mulder. Mateo, I want you to speak about on the impact of your thoughts on signing Jamal Cain to a two-way. Do you feel like it was the right move after his preseason success, as well as their thoughts on bringing in Michael Mulder as a signing?
Well, these are good moves for the Heat because it shows that, one, they're both committed to the culture, and the Heat are also committed to getting the best out of them as well. Coach Spo talked about having them play with the Skyforce this year, but Michael Mulder is someone this is his third go-around with the team. He's been cut 2 other times before. The Heat still have a lot of hope that he will become a dependable 3-point shooter at some point in this league. I think he got a couple of games at the end of last season, but in terms of Jamal Cain, he's somebody who showed excellent off-ball movement, and that puts the opposing defense in dire situations and also tires them out. I thought these were excellent signings for the Miami Heat in terms of their player development.
Yeah, and Miami has no shortage of developing players, and another one of those guys that just continues to seem to develop is Nikola Jovic, right? He's starting to make better or make just more plays as well, and just on the floor. Last game he came out, he had 12 points, 8 rebounds, and I think the most or 13 points, 8 rebounds, but the most unique thing that he brought were those 3 assists, right? I feel like those 3 assists just showed how much of a unicorn he can be, maybe a Swiss Army knife. So, Gad, I'll go to you on this one. Where do you feel like he fits on this team? Because it's obvious he has a skill set that's unique and something that really is not something that any other player on this team brings when it comes to having his size, shooting, and playmaking ability all in one. Where do you think he fits in on this team?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked because I did tweet out earlier. I think the role year one as a rookie, because I don't think he's limited to this, right? I think he can end up becoming more than this, but I think year one, he can kind of function as a Kelly Olynyk type player for the Heat, where he's like your pick and pop big with has a little bit of an ability to create for himself. And that's all you really need to rely on him in year one. I think long term, you can look at someone that you can kind of run a little bit of offense through him. He's gonna space their floor. He could end up being kind of like a small ball five type player who can create his own shot. Like he has the tool bag offensively to be a very exciting player to watch. But I think this season, if he's Kelly Olynyk-esque, I think that's a pretty good season for him and pretty good job for the Heat. I mean, if you can find someone that can give you pick and pop spacing at the 4/5 spot, that's huge. Although he's not limited to that.
I mean, if he can do that and he hasn't even graduated high school yet, I'm going to take that all day long. He's been doing young things. And I want to give a shout out to everybody on the comments. Brian Mosley, Jose Matos, Jay Chato saying it's his first time this season jumping in. Mitsuaki joining us as well. So appreciate all you guys. If you have any questions that you want us to answer on the panel, make sure you go ahead and hit the super chats, right? Just get us a super chat question and we'll go ahead and answer that for you as well. So let's dive into this matchup a little bit more. We're playing the Houston Rockets, and they might be one of those teams that might be on the tanking side to try to get Victor Wembanyama, or however you say that name. I hope I said that right. But, trying to get that time. So
Wembanyama.
Wembanyama, there we go, right? I'm brown. I should be able to say that, but hey, we'll roll with it anyways. But the Rockets team, we're going up against. We don't know where they fit in. Like I said, I think they're gonna probably tank next season with the amount of talent on the top end of that draft. Mateo, I'll go to you on this one. Where do you see the Rockets playing out this season, and what do you think you'll see from them tonight?
Well, I think, like you said, they will be at the top of the tanking race for Scotty or Victor. In terms of tonight, I think the Houston Rockets will stop themselves. They're not a very good team that moves the ball. In terms of their backcourt, Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. do not move the ball well. Every time they get it, they are looking to score. And it's a lot easier to guard an opponent like this because the defense understands where the ball is coming from. And when one player is boogieing down, the other four players on the court are just watching, which plays into the opposing defense's hands. So I do not expect much from them tonight. I think the Miami Heat's third, fourth strings players will make light work of them. Thank you.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there. Gad, what else do you have to add on that?
No, so I agree with what Mateo said. Like one of the things, if you've watched Houston play in the past, you're kind of like wondering what Steve Silas's plan is because there is a lot of ball stoppage from the guard spot from Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. I know Kevin Porter Jr. kind of has some assists, but I'm with Mateo there. I think he's more of a ball stopper than you'd like for him to be as your lead guard. Jalen Green is one hell of a scorer. I'm very excited to watch him play. He's one of the most dynamic players with the ball in his hands, but there also is some ball stoppage there. But what I personally really want to see, I think the Houston Rockets nailed this draft. I think Jabari Smith and Tari Eason, in terms of what wins in the NBA, like versatile defensive wings, can be huge for this team. Now, they aren't super similar players on offense. Jabari more of a floor spacer, Tari more of a slasher, but those two are the players that I'm excited to watch tonight in addition to Jalen Green. I think the Houston Rockets are going to look really smart for grabbing those two. I'm excited to watch them play defense and see how our guys play against those two while they're defending.
Speaking of versatile wing defenders, Duncan Robinson had a great game last time out.
Come on.
And I feel like, this is this is one of those games where, like you said, he's the old guy within the young group, even though he's still relatively young. And this is another one of those games where you can see him with the ball in his hands and more and kind of take that next step. Alejandro, I'll go to you on this one. What do you think we see from Duncan Robinson tonight? And do you think with a good game from him that you maybe see a little bit more from Duncan going into the beginning of the season?
You threw me the Duncan Robinson question, huh? Well, he did score 29 points the other night, right? So that's why you want to see a little bit more from him. I mean, I said last time, it doesn't matter. It's just a preseason game. They're just getting ready for the season. That's about it. We want to see a lot of points coming from the bench, and Duncan Robinson's going to have to get some of those points. So that's what I'm expecting from him. That's it. I mean, I'm not expecting any other 30-point game here in the preseason. It doesn't matter. But I do want to see Duncan at least getting, I don't know, 12 to 15 coming off the bench during the regular season. That's going to be a big help for this team. So that's my expectation with Duncan Robinson.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I want to touch on something Ethan said last time. I think just the main thing with Duncan Robinson is coming in with the right headspace, coming in knowing like, okay, play a little more free, make sure that you're not after one bad play hanging your head down, hitting the side of the backboard in the shots, because we know how good Duncan is as a shooter. This man broke multiple Heat records as a three-point shooter. He shouldn't be hitting the backboard. That's a mental thing. That's before you even touch the ball, you're thinking about missing the shot. So if he can come in and have a little bit more of a mental edge and add a little more diversity to his game, I think he does have a little bit of something to bring to the table as far as coming into this season. So let's go into rapid fire. Let's finish out with a little bit of quick predictions. Like we said, it's preseason, so it really doesn't matter. But coming in shorthanded, we still ended up beating the Grizzlies with all their players. So that was something that was still pretty exciting to see. So Mateo, I'll start with you on this one. Give me a quick prediction, and then maybe something that you think we'll see that maybe is a little bit outside of the box.
Well, I actually am expecting a little bit more from Duncan Robinson. In his last game, he got to the free throw line 10 times and made all 10 of his free throws, which skewed his average in the preseason. He's attempting 5 a game and made all 5. I want to see him get there more tonight. And I think because of the confidence of 29 points in his last game, I think he's going to be moving very freely off on-ball screens and pin downs. And I think he's going to get to the line tonight.
Yeah.
I actually was going to go with Duncan as well. I want to see him keep trying to diversify what he's doing, right? Like one of the things like Mateo alluded to, he's been getting to the line, which how many times have we seen Duncan Robinson create contact ever? We haven't, right? So him showing that, one of the things Ron LeCon, on the post-game shows, we've been people who have said, we just need to see something else from Duncan, right? I don't care so much about his three-point percentage. I'm confident that's going to be good enough. But what I want to see from Duncan is, can you do anything else? And over these last couple games, he's been doing more. Like there's been some dribble drives. He actually hit a pull-up mid-range last game. In addition to just being confident on the floor and looking like he's in the right headspace, like you said. So if Duncan can show us some of that, I'll be pretty happy. But I want to see Nikola Jovic again. Just see like what the kid can do. Because he's 19 and he looks way more comfortable in NBA preseason than he did in NBA Summer League. And that type of development that I think we've seen from him is huge. I want to see how he looks on defense, though, because the Rockets are a very athletic team, and Jovic is tall, but he's not the most athletic. So if he plays defense well, we're going to have to start talking about Jovic maybe being a part of like the top 12, 11 players on this team this season.
Absolutely. Alejandro.
I wanted to add to that Duncan Robinson comment. He's been adding some different elements to his game since – I would say a couple of years ago. Remember, in the past, it used to be just give the ball to Bam, and Bam's going to do a handoff with Duncan Robinson. That was about it. He's been adding a little bit more of that, but of course, he has to get a lot better. So we'll see what happens once the real NBA season starts. But hopefully, that's something he can grow up more. And like Jose Mato says, he's been having a lot of content with his fans on the podcast. The other thing that Gad mentioned there, Jovic, man, I think we all, when we all saw the Jovic pick, we were like, okay, let's see if he can actually make it. But going back into the last couple of Miami Heat drafts, if you go back to Tyler Hero, we didn't think he was going to play a lot, and he ended up being a great addition to that team. So why not? I mean, that's the history of this team. They do pick young guys, they develop them, and they actually give them time to actually play and show that they can give a lot to the team. So we'll see what happens with Jovic. Why not?
Yeah, a lot of young guys are going to have an opportunity just to kind of make their stamp on the game. What I want to see, like you said, Duncan Robinson, I think he's going to have another good game. I do think he's going to show that he's the veteran when it comes to the crew of the younger guys, and he's going to show that. And I think something else I want to see is Jamal Cain just got that 2-way contract, right? Show us that you deserved it. Show us on both ends of the ball. You're going to have multiple opportunities to defend one-on-one against high-level scorers, right? Show that you're able to defend at a high level. Show that you're a true 2-way player and that you can play on both ends. Hit some threes, continue to cut, continue to do the things that got you the contract. I want to see that as well. Predictions, I do think Miami takes it away. I do think just overall top to bottom, we're a better unit. Houston might have the better individual talent players, but I just think Miami will get it done. I think Coach Spo will just continue to be mad scientist Coach Spo, do things that are fun, unique, outside the box, situationary. or situational. Wow, can't even speak. Situational, where he can apply small things to the regular season. But thank you guys, everybody, for checking out the preseason or the pregame show. Make sure you use the promo code 5 for prizepicks.com. Make sure you go to Mark Brown PA. And if you're young and have an estate, make sure you have him take care of you. Thank you, Mateo, Gad, and Alejandro for running the show. And until next time, let's go Heat.
All right, let's go Heat. Thank you guys for joining us here in the pregame show. Mateo, Gad, and Jonathan. We're going to be doing this, of course, before every game during the regular season. Let's go back, and since there are a lot of comments today, let's read some of your comments here before we leave, before we go here. A lot of you talking about Nicola and what he can do, and I like this comment from Jose Matos. He says, let's Nicola be Nicola. I know we have a lot of European players and even American players that we're trying to compare Nikola Jovic to, but I like what Jose is saying here. Let's let him see. Let's see what he can do. Let's see what version of a basketball player we can see from this young guy. Jermaine King, welcome back, Jermaine. Welcome to the NBA season. Welcome to the Miami Heat coverage here on the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. Jermaine King says, I just want to see Duncan make shots. Yeah, I mean, that would be awesome. I said during the pregame show that 12 to 15 games would be a good amount of points for the Miami Heat to get from him coming off the bench. But if we can get vintage Robinson scoring more points, of course, they're going to be happy, and we're all going to be happy. Ernesto Castellanos says, suppose we'll use Jovic as a small ball 5 plenty this season. We'll see if they use him as a 5. We'll see how actually Spoelstra uses all the options that he has as a 5, even Yurtseven, Detman, Bam Adebayo, and we'll see if anybody else plays in that position as well. Young OG says Strauss rubbed on Duncan for sure. He's putting that ball down now. Brian Mosley says Duncan needs to foul less to stay in the game. That's true as well. He's not a rookie anymore, and hopefully the refs respect him a little bit more this year as well. Jose Matos, who else is around here sending comments before we leave? Brian Mosley says, tonight I want to see Vic and Nick show. Young OG says, Gabe Vincent is a little concerning. Those minutes might get buried. And situationary, Ernesto helping Jonathan with that word. All right. Jovic is a Tony Kukoc 2.0. Hopefully he can be as good as Tony Kukoc was for the Chicago Bulls in those Michael Jordan years. And we'll see what happens with all of those players, and hopefully Jovic can really make an impact in this Miami Heat version this year. All right, guys, thank you very much for joining us here on the 5 Reasons pregame show. We're going to be doing this again during the season. An hour before every game, we're going to be coming back to the YouTube channel, giving you a pregame show. During the season, I'm going to have more videos. Eric Spoelstra talking, the players talking before the game, Brady Hawks segments as well. All of that are going to have it here on the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. And for some games, we're also going to have in-game hangouts like we did have in the postseason last year. We're going to repeat that in some games. We're going to do it for sure for the first game of the season for opening day. We're going to be here watching the game live with you guys, and hopefully we all enjoy the experience. Have a good night. Enjoy the game, and we'll see you later with a 5 on the Floor live tonight here on the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. That's going to be the 5 on the Floor post-game show, also here live as soon as the game is over on the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. So go enjoy the game, and we will see you back here in a couple of hours. Bye-bye.